inline stations, and also some special ones. This one is a model animal phenotype and heredity research facility. It has two parts. The first one is a pigs facility with a budget of $160 million. Another is a private facility in other places with a budget of $56 million. Now the last one is the numerical simulator for Earth system. It's designed to recognize complicated system of Earth and to simulate Earth's sphere's change and long-term climate change, to describe and predict geophysics, chemistry, biology. It has specialized supercomputer and simulation and visualization system. According to our plan, the major R&D infrastructure by 2020 will have 55 projects in operation or under construction, and 10 new projects will be prepared for construction in the next stage. At least 5 new project proposals will be studied. All the projects usually shall meet some requirements, such as the basic or front research with strategic significance in science, or in urgent need for economic and social development, or can help us to take commanding height of science, technology, and innovation. And it's better to have, for us to have comparative advantage and a possible breakthrough in the field. And the priority fields, including 7, they are energy, life, and Earth system and environment, materials, particle physics and nuclear physics, space and astronomy, and engineering technology. Our vision by 2020 is to develop comprehensive national research centers in Beijing, Shanghai, Hefei, and possibly some other few cities. In those cities, the R&D infrastructure will be heavily concentrated, and we expect to get some original important achievements in basic research, to acquire some new technologies, techniques, equipment, and strategic products to develop crucial and core technology in industries. And we hope to attract top talents and carry on important international cooperation by those major R&D infrastructure. So we are looking forward to future cooperation with the scientists from Bulgaria. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this observation. We really receive a good information and can compare where we are. So I hope one day I can present the same way the Bulgarian infrastructure. And I hope that we can achieve half of these results, but it will be enough tools for the capacity. So now it's time to give the floor to Dr. Richard Zwirt. Will present learned thinking and technology transfer.
Thank you, Kenny, for inviting me, and I think Slatina suggested me. So it's always a pleasure for me to contribute a little bit to Bulgarian society with some ideas and opinions about the things that I think I have some experience in. And one of those is technology transfer. So first to introduce myself, my name is Richard Smits. I'm a chemical engineer from the Netherlands with a PhD degree from the University of Twente, it's a technical university in the Netherlands. After that I worked for 7 years in a company in Denmark in the R&D department, which gives me a combination of starting as a scientist but also knowing a little bit about applying science in business. And I hope that together with what I did afterwards, that gives me some experience that I can give some ideas I came to Bulgaria 14 years ago almost, with my Bulgarian wife, I was thinking about what to do in Bulgaria. I thought to combine this knowledge that I had, this experience with Bulgaria, so that I started this company CSI, which is looking for foreign companies who have research questions. And then I look for the best Bulgarian researchers that can answer those questions. When I find them, I make a project team from them, and on behalf of the company, I manage the research project so that it leads to answers that they can use. So I have some experience in letting science and business cooperate. I also did that for the European Commission for some time in FP7 projects. So I think I have an answer. If you've read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, this is a funny science fiction book where a big computer calculates the answer to the question of life, the universe, and everything, and find out that it's 42. So this should also be the answer to all the problems in technology transfer. The problem with this answer is that they never really defined what the question is. They started with calculating the answer, and then realized that to understand the answer, you need to understand the question. Some similar problems occur in classical technology transfer. Classical Technology Transfer Office collects all the answers that the scientists in their organization have found, and then go out to society and say, we have answers. You have a question for it that answers that question, that this answer is an answer to. This is what they call a technology push, and it has very low success rate. It's very rare that when a scientist finds an answer and then goes out to society to see if there are questions for it, the rate of finding a question that it is the answer for is very low. Because of the low success rate, we should think of ways of improving that. And I think we can learn from another sector which has very low success rate, the startup sector. This is an intermediate slide that I forgot I had, which shows graphically that technology transfers offices have answers, and then they go to companies to see if there are any questions there. And very often when this failure happens, I hear blaming the other side that they don't understand. Scientists who have worked for a decade doing research and finding a wonderful answer, they are very convinced that their answer is very good. And if a company then doesn't see that it is a very good answer, they blame the company for saying, well, they don't understand what I did, they don't see how good it is. I hear the same from companies who interact with scientists, or even before they interact with scientists, that scientists in Bulgaria are of low level and they don't understand what we need, so we don't even go and look for them. But in the relationship between scientists and companies and the rest of society, it is the rest of society and the companies that are the customer. And there are two cases possible. Either the customer is right, in most cases we should assume that he's right. The thing to do then is, if the customer doesn't want your answer, is then either to listen better to what companies need and listen to their questions before starting to find answers. Or maybe the customer is wrong. The company really doesn't understand what a fantastic answer it is. Then maybe we should continue our search and find other companies that see the value of the answer. Or maybe to create our own customers, which means creating our own companies. And then I come to the introduction to this slide. The low failure rate is similar to what you see in the area of starting up new companies. There, the rate of success is also very low, maybe 10%. And to do something about that, a few years ago a movement started, which calls itself Lean Startup, which is inspired by lean manufacturing. which has a philosophy that anything that we make that isn't bought by customers is a waste, and we should try to reduce that waste by listening better to our customers. Lean Startup is doing something similar, and they do it rather scientifically by starting to assume that the idea for a new business is a hypothesis. An hypothesis, as a scientist, you need to test it. And the way to test it is to go to potential customers and ask them first, what do you think of my idea? What do you think of my answer? Is this something that you want? And very often you find out that they don't want this answer, but they have a question which is close to what this answer answers. And so if you change your answer a bit, your product, and fit it more to the needs of the customer, you can improve it. So you test your idea with potential customers, you get feedback, and you change your idea, and then go back to customers again. And in this cycle of iteration, you improve your idea. The next step would then be to take the risk and actually make a product which is the minimum viable product, which means a product that has the minimum number of aspects that convinces a customer to actually pay for it, to buy it. And then again, put that on the market. Ask your customers, why did you buy it or why you didn't buy it? And learn from that and change your product accordingly. And this is a continuous process, which hopefully reduces the amount of waste caused by products that are put on the market for which there is no demand. We can apply it also to technology transfer. I think scientists should have the duty and should feel the duty to go out into society. This is the fifth aspect that Professor Denkhoff just mentioned. Scientists should go out into society and ask, what questions do you have? And based on the answers they get, they should choose their direction of research. You could think of that as giving up academic freedom, but I think as a scientist you can still decide which direction you want to go, which you think is interesting. But I think it makes it more interesting if not only yourself, but also other scientists, companies, and the society as a whole is interested in your answer. Unfortunately, especially in Bulgaria, scientists usually don't have a very good network in the rest of society. Science in Bulgaria is a bit disconnected to the rest of society. So I think technology transfer offices could help you. Technology transfer offices should have a good network in the rest of society, and they could help scientists find their potential customers. So to show it again graphically, instead of scientists with answers going to the technology transfer office and the technology transfer office trying to sell that to companies, we should turn the arrow around and first go to companies and ask what questions they have, and then do the research to find answers to those questions. It's very likely that during doing your research you find answers for which there is no company that can use it. Then the next step would be to consider creating your own company. And this is the second way of improving technology transfer. So graphically again, for those answers that the technology transfer office can't find a customer for, maybe we should make our own companies. There are a number of measures that we could take to stimulate that. The first one is to offer education to scientists in how to start up companies. These could be courses offered through the technology transfer office. It might be the technology transfer office itself that's organizing it, or just connected to others in their organization. There are, the Sofia University has the scientific, the natural science faculties, but they also have a faculty of economy that could teach those scientists more about the economy, about managing companies, and so on. Another very good example that we could use is Started Smart, which is an organization that started a few years ago by students in the Mathematics and Informatics faculty of Sofia University. not satisfied with their education because they wanted to start companies. Nobody of the staff could teach them that. So they decided to make a club and get together and teach each other. So they had a reading list, they read different books, gave presentations to each other, and in that way built up from the ground an expertise in how to start up companies in Bulgaria. I think it would be good to start something like that for scientists as well. Maybe scientists, there are a number of scientists in Bulgaria who already started their own companies. They could share their experience among each other, but also with other scientists who have business ideas that could be exploitable. A second way is inspired by my own university, University of Twente in the Netherlands. When I was a student there 30 years ago, we had a very active rector who saw the importance of entrepreneurship for universities, and he decided to use the slogan and to call the university the first entrepreneurial university in the Netherlands. And one of the things they created was, this is a Dutch term which is translated as temporary entrepreneurial positions. These are positions that the university offered to students who had a business idea, so they could use for some time the facilities of the university to develop their business idea. I think in Bulgaria this could be implemented by creating positions for students who are business-minded. The legal position could be like a PhD position, so the student would get a small income, just enough to survive and buy some food. A little budget so that he could use the university facilities, or maybe free of charge, and then offer education and coaching to that student. Education could come again from other faculties or from other universities, if the institute itself doesn't have it. And coaching could be from experienced people who have already started companies, who have some business development experience. And then for the technical side, it could be a supervising professor. And it could be not only the idea of the student, but it could be the idea of the professor, which would then be developed. And the result would be then not a PhD thesis, but maybe an MBA title for the candidate and a business plan for a startup company. A third way where we can stimulate entrepreneurship among scientists is if we could couple scientists with business development specialists. To start a company, you need to have both the technical expertise to develop your high-tech product and business expertise in knowing how to sell it and how to organize the company. These are talents that are hardly ever found together in the same person. So it would be very good if scientists with a business idea could be coupled with specialists with a business background. This could be young students. If it is a student which has a technical idea, it could be coupled with a student who has an economic background. But more experienced scientists could also be coupled with more experienced business development specialists. This works very well, and I think the next speaker will tell us more about one of the success stories that he's involved in. This is Kirill Petkov, who will be the next speaker. So this is what I had to tell you, and I hope it is an inspiration for you.
Thank you very much. We have many hours speaking with you about the technology transfer region, but I thank you for regarding the networking, which is very important for our infrastructure complex. And now, for me, it's a pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Kirill Petkov. He was introduced, but we all need a business approach of our activities for the future. So what you will say us will be very important.
Thank you for giving the ability to present our innovation. When I was watching the major infrastructure projects of China, I was wondering what is there in common between our project and all these multi-billion billion projects in China. And the answer to this I'll give you in the end of the presentation. So we start with something that we know all of us extremely well. 4,000 years of yogurt consumption in Bulgaria. We're the country with the highest per capita consumption of yogurt. But something that we don't know as Bulgarians, and most of the people around the world don't know, is that when you don't have a yogurt starter, traditionally Bulgarians used to ferment yogurt by putting flours from different places into warm milk. If you go to different villages in Bulgaria, you'll find that, for example, next to Bistrica, they're throwing a blossom of an apple in a warm milk as a traditional way to make a yogurt. In another place, a blossom of a queen tree. So different recipes, but what's interesting about those recipes is that no matter how you do it, in the end you have two bacteria in the yogurt, Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Thermophilus, just the two. So I'm going more into this tradition and knowing the bacteria that in Bulgaria there are about 2,000 strains of bacteria of Lactobacillus bulgaricus. We had the chance to work with one of the best professors in Bulgaria, Dr. Maria Kondratenko, who has been heading the research on Bulgaricus bacteria for 45 years. So she recommended that we use one specific strain, which is called GOB44. This specific strain was originally isolated from the snowdrop flower. Then we took this bacteria and we created this little engine of scientific institutions. So we worked with the Sofia University, with Harvard Medical School, with Brigham and Women's Hospital, and with TISU, Sofia University Hospital. How did we collaborate with these institutions? We found that institutions like Harvard really demand two things. It's very expensive to deal with those institutions on one side. On the second side is they want intellectual property for them. The same as with Brigham and Women's Hospital. But in order to be able to both collaborate, create a viable project out of this, especially in the beginning when the investment funds for research are still limited, we decided to actually do a lot of the research in Bulgaria. We found that we have amazingly talented scientists. And based on their findings, we'll go to Harvard to confirm the research that is already done in Sofia University. By doing this, we were able to achieve two things. First of all of our R&D cost went down. The second thing is the intellectual property did not go to Harvard. So it's a way to manage intellectual property, to manage costs, and at the end of the day, still have the verification of a major institution like Harvard. The same thing we did with Brigham and Women's Hospital on our clinical studies, and you saw here with Dr. Podimirov, who is one of the best gastroenterologists in Bulgaria. So what did we actually do? It's not surprising that only Lactobacillus bulgaricus is found in all the yogurts in Bulgaria, no matter how you do the traditional recipes, because it's actually very competitive bacteria in conditions of milk at about 36 to 38 degrees. So no matter what you put in the yogurt with the bulgaricus that would come with the flowers or with other things that the villagers would put in the warm milk, in the end of the day, this bacteria in these conditions was out competing everything else and was staying by itself with the Thermophilus, which is the synergetic bacteria for this environment. So we said, if this is the case, let's apply it to what was used, let's apply it to E. coli. Salmonella and Listeria is food poisoning bacteria. And this is a confocal microscope images, what happens to E. coli over 24 hours. The green is E. coli that is alive. By the 24th hour, the only thing left in this media with Lactobacillus bulgaricus GOB44 was the bulgaricus. So it was able to inhibit a pathogenic strain of E. coli within 24 hours. So these are the type of research studies that we did. So we did this with E. coli 015787, which is the most pathogenic strain of E. coli. We did this with Salmonella, and we did this with Listeria. Now what's interesting about these three is that the first blood gram negative bacteria, the third one is gram-positive bacteria. So to have a single strain of Bulgaricus bacteria to inhibit both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria is very, very rare. In fact, the head of the microbiology at Harvard said in his 35 years of practice, he's never seen such results. So that encouraged us quite a bit. The second thing that we did is we tested the same strain with other lactobacilli, and it did not inhibit them at all. So we realized that this specific strain was producing a peptide that's actually selectively inhibiting bacteria that are not closely related to it. We also saw that it has very strong antifungal effects, which are not as 100% as in the case of E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria, but still, nevertheless, in a lot of the fungus, we're able to stop the growth. The next thing we said is, okay, if this is true in the lab, let's try it in clinical studies. So with Dr. Vodimirov in ISU, we did our first trial, which was 22 patients, then 54 patients. And in both cases, we got 92% success rate in H. pylori inhibition. So H. pylori is a very interesting bacteria. It's present in about 600 million people from China. So all these people that are working in all these amazing projects, 60% of them, unfortunately, have to deal with H. pylori. So one of the major projects that we're working now is with Dr. Barry Marshall in China to try to come up with an alternative treatment for H. pylori for the Chinese population, which is actually one of the highest H. pylori, the population that has one of the highest rates of H. pylori. In Bulgaria, we have quite a bit as well. So this was the first trial. And the second trial, we actually published the results. Why is it significant? Because our little bacteria that makes yogurt, and one of the 2,000 Bulgaricuses, is potentially able to prevent ulcers, gastritis, and 1% of the population that has H. pylori, even potentially gastric cancer. So when I met with Dr. Barry Marshall, and this is the Nobel Prize winner who discovered H. pylori, he said, in my lifetime, I'm pretty happy with what I've done with H. pylori, because of me, there are 50 million people without ulcers today, and about 5 million people that potentially don't have gastric cancer. So now he's part of our team, and we're continuing the clinical studies. We're putting a few sites, so now at Sofia, Harvard Medical School, and now we're working with the Chinese professor for China specifically, to be able to come up with an alternative solution to the current solution, which is 3 antibiotics that are put together, and they have very devastating effect on the gut flora of the people that are taking it. The other interesting thing that we did, for those that haven't heard this presentation, is that we actually grew the bacteria not on milk, but on carrot juice. Why? Because all the population in the world is actually lactose intolerant. So by growing it on carrots, we're able to produce a probiotic that's 100% lactose-free, allergen-free. So together with the clinical studies, we had a competitive advantage. Based on this research, we launched our first products in New York, in London, in Australia. Now we're working for Korea to be able to enter, and in China as well. We had a publication in the Wall Street Journal, which always helps for the US market, even though there the journalist was extremely negative towards food supplements. She believed that those supplements are overstating their effects, and they're mostly marketing. So she put us on an interview of 7 hours to be able to see if there are actually weaknesses in our story. In the end, she even put a Stanford professor to try to interview us, and we had a battle of the scientists. We had Harvard versus Stanford, plus Rossi Dropcheva from the Sofia University. So I was happy that we were able to win that battle, and we had a great article in the Wall Street Journal. And a few marketing things that are always helpful. Oprah Winfrey became our client. and Novak Djokovic. The last US Open was on probiotic while he was playing tennis in the US Open. So this is my little model in the end of the day. How can you come up from a simple traditional product to a final product that could potentially change a lot of things in the global market? So first of all, international science cooperation. We have great scientists in Bulgaria. Some of those scientists are great if they cooperate with scientists from around the world to be able to create more of a global credibility on the results. Cross-field innovation, combining few industries together. We had in this case biochemistry, microbiology, food sciences. Now we're hoping to include chemistry, pure chemistry as well in some of our future projects. Global focus. Our market is too small to create big companies in Bulgaria, so go abroad is it's kind of way to grow businesses. And yeah, coordination between the different industries to come up with new cross-field innovations. So that's technological commercialization for a global market, starting from a bowl of yogurt. Thank you.
So you see, Bulgaria is a small country with very important and European ambitious. So I hope now it's the time of your questions and we can answer. I suppose you have many questions raising from the presentation. You can record them to all of the lectures. So please, the floor is yours. Professor Dimova, welcome.
Hello. First of all, congratulations for this very, very interesting conference and event. My concrete question is to Mr. Quinn. Sorry if I pronounce not in the right way. So, it's for you. In your really very, very impressive presentation, you mentioned something very important, that for science, the fund of sciences in China is 2.1% of the GDP. And you mentioned something very, very interesting for me, that 78% of these funds comes from business. Would you please tell us something more about this? How do you motivate the business to support the science sector? And probably it is related to your legislation or something like this. How do you motivate the business to support the science research and science infrastructure? Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate your interest in Chinese science technology. As Chu, you mentioned the ratio of R&D to GDP, 78% from business sector. Actually, it's gradually increasing. About 10 years ago, it's a little less than 70%, but now it's 78%, and probably in future it will reach the 8%, something like that. But it's not required by law or some stipulations. It's basically by the Chinese growth of the economy. We call the science and technology, or R&D. The business usually invests more on the development of the products. So that's the major source of the business sector. For example, I take just one example of a company, maybe you heard that, the company named Huawei. It invests a very large portion of its revenue for its development, not only in the product application, but also in some basic research in, for example, in communication, something like that, to gain its comparative advantage. So that's, that investment is by its own. But for the government, we encourage to the business companies to invest in the R&D. Usually, I just can say from the view of government, if we want to focus on some technologies which is crucial and common technologies, if it's developed, it will be helpful to the whole industry. So, from our viewpoint, the government, for example, invest, how about, for example, $10 in one field, and we will encourage the companies to follow that if the 80% is by counting. Why it's useful? Because, at least in China, if the government invests some money in that field, it gives the industries a very clear signal that if you invest, follow the government, the future benefit would probably be guaranteed because it's the priority from the government and from the future. I have to say, in China, the government role is very important. Actually, probably more important than most other countries. So it's a little different. Okay, so I summarize my answer. One is because the economic growth, more and more companies feels they have to innovate to invest more. And the second is that the Chinese government departments also have some interest in future technology, the crucial technology, and we will encourage and we will give some money as guidance and let's see companies to follow us. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Some other questions? Professor Bachman.
I joined the satisfaction of the organization of this conference and the very interesting talks. I made for myself a link between all the presentations, and it is of course connected to my field. I'm a meteorologist, so the earth sciences is a major point in China's topics that are supported. 2 of the 16 big fields that were shown are related to Earth observations, climate, water, materials, and also modeling of the environment as a whole system. And what is seen in our program